Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for staying. I know I've got an interesting session. It's right before lunch. So I'm going to keep it as simple and intuitive as possible. So I'm from OpenText, and today I wanted to talk to you about, what is the opportunity that we have. I think right now, from all the numbers that went in, some eminent panelists, some very senior folks have put some data points out. But we've got 1,800 global capability centers. That's a phenomenal number. And as I was working through and working with my teams and doing some research with some of our partners, this has actually contributed to about 3.5% of India's GDP as of last year. This is on the internet. You can go and check it out. This is actual real data. And the projection is in 2030, and that's why I wanted to call it Reimagined to 2030, GCCs are going to contribute 5% of India's GDP. And this is ETCFO, who've done their actual research around this. So this is phenomenal at this point. I think this is the best time to be in technology and in India and in this domain of global capability centers. So what I wanted to cover today a little bit about is what's going on, what's our point of view and view around the GCCs and how they're going to evolve, what is there, and how can we as partners help them. I mean, it's deja vu for me. I come from a GCC, right? We run one of the largest GCC centers here in India. So moving on, so who are we? So I don't know if you've heard about us or not. So we at OpenText believe information elevates the human potential for an individual or a business to be his best. Because end of the day, it's all about data and then information. I think there's an amazing presentation that the Google team presented, right? So we're all talking of how do we crunch this data, get this data. But the important part is how do we use this? How do we take this data points or information and monetize it, right? End of the day, that's what it's about, right? How can we now modernize the work that's going on there, right? What are the business fabrics that come across with this information, underlined with this information? What about the experience for users that is inside your GCCs and to your headquarters? Security, obviously, goes without saying, and trusted apps and automation. So for us, what we believe is information should be trusted. Next generation, you should be able to run it, access it, use it wherever you need. Doesn't matter what the platform is. And obviously, security and now, of course, AI embedded into it. So that's our motto from an OpenText standpoint. So I just wanted to put these numbers, and the intention of putting these numbers are, if you look at us, we are a Canadian headquartered company, you guys don't know, and our revenues are about north of 6 billion. Now we've got 2,300 employees in this company, and a third of them are actually in India. And in my next slide, I'll tell you about our GCC, how we are doing stuff over there. And we did a research with Dun & Bradstreet, and what we got to know, which was a pleasant surprise, that 98 of the top global companies use an OpenText solution for running their core business around it. 120,000 plus customers across the world, 9,000 private cloud deployments, and 31 million users on the public cloud. Now, why did I pull these numbers out? So this tells you the breadth and the scale that we as OpenText and the expertise that we can bring in your journey of transformation. So that's why I just wanted to bring this up for your information. So I'll spend a little bit about our own GCC experience and the insights that we've had around it. So we are primarily based in Bangalore and in Hyderabad. If you look at it, our centers today have about 6,000 plus employees in both these locations. And a major part of the work, right from product development to innovation, and especially a lot around IP, is around these domains of content management, digital experience that you would see, application optimization, delivery optimization, and analytics and AI and IT operations. Now, the last thing there, what we call as aviators. So these are our own in-house developed AI solutions, or our Gen AI technology. And we're proud to say this, all of these, except for 2 of them which were built in the US and the other one in Germany because of certain regulatory needs, the rest of it is all designed, developed, and all of the IP is based out from here in India. We're pretty proud about it. And this actually makes us proudly say that we're promoting the Make in India concept what the government is driving. So I'm not going to belabor more on this, but I thought I'd just put these up. These are again some fascinating numbers that I was coming up with. On the left-hand side, 2010, enough and above, a lot has been spoken about it, right? But you look on the right-hand side, the revenue we're talking was 110 billion that these GCCs can get across the world when you get into 2030, which is phenomenal, right? The projections are that by 2030, there are going to be 2,400 GCCs in our country. I hope it's much more at the space that we are going in. And what's interesting is, on an average, there are about 100 plus GCCs being set up in a year. So this is a phenomenal space, phenomenal time to be, again, like I say, in technology. But what's in it for you as leaders when you're running your GCCs and for you to evolve into the next generation, right? So what we see as opportunities, and these are, again, from our experiences where the way we morphed or we grew as a traditional backend GCC for code development to the next generation of a GCC or a global command center that we are in, right? Primarily AI-augmented, quality-driven software factories. I mean, let's be serious and honest about here. We still have those data silos, this data sprawl. Fundamentally, even to a large extent, and I've been talking to customers, from this domain for the last 20 plus years, testing, quality, still a lot of manual work is involved around it, right? So they're still taking time. There's still a lot of information silo. So how do we actually bring all of these components together and talk of just having a pure play quality-driven software and a factory that's like churning out as you need information so that there's no reasons for human error or other things. So you leverage your technology and your solutions around it. And as we go through the slides, I'll show you some of the stuff that we have and how we've been helping some of the GCCs, right? Autonomous cloud operations. The word, I think the title itself says what it is. But I think that's fundamental change what we are seeing in this domain has been the whole thing of observability, understanding how your infrastructure is. It's immaterial of which cloud, what kind of a data center you're running on, but observing the infrastructure, understanding the performance, and actually using AI there to start fixing the problem, which is primarily your predictive way of monitoring and management. So that's a key thing we're doing, and we are adopting, and there's a very interesting thing that's going on. We as an organization, as OpenText, as some of you all know, is actually a merger of companies. From the last 35 years, a lot of us companies have got together. So we have phenomenal technology that also brings us complexity with infrastructure and various applications. So as an organization, our CEO and CIO are working on a journey of saving $1 billion over the next 10 years. So we are actually using our own technology to bring down cost, and we are happy to share that information to you as required. Our CIO is happy to come across and have a conversation with you all, and it's across all of these domains that you see out there. And the last thing is knowledge transformation to business value. I think a lot of people have spoken about it, but I think if I just summarize it in simple ways, the knowledge that you have, how do you codify it, use it, so that you're actually driving that value around it. So that's what we see as opportunities for GCCs to grow, because we're no more a back office hub. We are going to be, most of the GCCs are aspiring to become, somebody was telling me, right, it's no more a cost center. It's going to be a profit center, and you're going to add to the top line of the company's revenue. So moving on, some points of view on what we see as challenges. I think I've spoken enough, so I'm not going to go into, but I just wanted to bring that up onto the screen for you guys to get food for thought, right? Ironic, just before lunch. So anyways, what is the opportunities that we can get around it? And what are the areas to focus on? Because there's no point trying to do everything. Let's also be honest about it. We're going to fail. So I think our perspective as OpenText as an organization, what we said was an AI-augmented software factory, right? Building an AI-ready DevOps platform, which we've started doing. So our organization, we churn out code every day. So we actually use this to get a lot of code tested, code validated, and a lot of the bug fixing is actually happening through our own platform that I'm talking to you about over here. The second thing, that's the area I think as a focus, which is, from a revenue generation standpoint. You look at autonomous clouds, ops and ITOM, or IT operations, a word which is used very, very often by people. Fourth thing, as I again came back and said, do not just rely on people. Start using automation, right? That's one of the areas what we can start looking at is agentic AI, the automation and the AI functions around it. So we use this extensively. So we got a whole combination of the various cloud vendors as well as our own private data centers that we run because of regulatory requirements that are needed. And the other area is around transforming the knowledge that you have, the information that you have, into making it a business value, a business sense, if I put it in simple terms, right? So think about it, just the knowledge that you have as an intelligence that is governed by enabling codification and reuse. The data you have, reuse it. How do I codify the data information that's there? And the last thing, I think this is the most top of the mind for a lot of the folks, is cyber defense at scale. With all the things that are going on, with the various situations that we have, how do you actually start embedding security into the code that's being developed? Think about it today, what we're talking of is it's not human writing code. It's going to be a machine or some kind of an autonomous agent that's going to write a code to you. But how do you embed security into it, the fundamental thing about it? And as you're moving data across for your knowledge requirements, how do you, manage the security component of that? How do you follow the various compliance regulatory requirements that are there as the code is being built up? So these are the areas that I think are opportunities that I see for us to partner with you all and grow. So that's a good segue to the slide that I wanted to bring up. So let's see how we can innovate and transform together and how we can partner with you all. So one of the things which has been a strength for us has been around the software engineering, and that's why we call it as engineering reimagined. And a lot of this, our product lifecycle that has gone through the post-acquisition was when we started using it ourselves, because we are engineers, we are developers by heart from the company standpoint. So how do you actually now start looking and getting a strategic portfolio management, right? A project portfolio management. How do you gather information, put it in play, put it in context from a business standpoint into a code? Then the second thing that we're talking about is around the DevOps platform. I think a lot of people speak about DevOps, but keep it simple. Data is available, knowledge is there with the folks, you've got automation. How do you use it to get the best functionality out of it, right? And the second thing, clicker's not working. All right, on the quality management aspects of it. So this becomes key, especially since we're going to get a lot of autonomous generated code. I'm just going to call it at that. And the last thing that's going to be thinking about is functional testing and performance engineering, which has been our strength from the portfolio of tools that we get in. I mean, bottom, if you see, those are the set of customers you're using. Government of India uses this extensively, all right? So March 31st, when things are happening and then you need to file your stuff, this is a technology that is actually used to test and see that it is running fine. That's just an example. I still can't put it up over here for very obvious reasons, as you all would know. The other thing that I wanted to get into was cloud ops. Now, this is close to us at heart, because what we've started seeing is today now with these diverse system or hybrid systems, what is the nomenclature used that you're comfortable with, is actually understanding where is the stuff that you have. How do you actually discover and figure out what is it that you're having? It's not just from an infrastructure standpoint, it's from your business standpoint. That's what we call about how do you understand where are your business applications? How are they interconnected? How are they working? If you're using some kind of an AI or an automation function or an agentic AI around it, how are they actually interacting with each other? So that's what we refer to as our discovery functions over there. The main thing is, as I was again talking to you about, was observability. And then observability, we just don't put it into one area. How do you understand observability from an application standpoint to a network standpoint? And networks are phenomenally changed today, right? A network is a service today. In fact, networks are software today. If you think about it, software is driving a lot of the network technology that we use. right? So how do you understand that? How do you see the functions around it from a performance standpoint, from a configuration? The biggest thing is the equipment that you're using. Somebody comes and says, is your network HIPAA compliant, right? How do you actually understand? So there are controls and processes that are driven by organizations saying, are you ISO 20000 or PCI compliant? So we do actually get into that kind of data and say the network infrastructure or the IT infrastructure you're running is compliant with these standards and these controls. Automation, a big part of it, as I said. The other thing which we've been focusing a lot because of us, with our experience of getting all of the various acquisitions that we did, the financial operations, the money being spent on these various clouds, technologies. Are we actually making money? Are we losing money? Are we saving money around it? So that was one of the things I was giving an example as how we as an organization are on this bold plan of saving $1 billion over the next 10 years. So financial operations. And if you look at it from a GCC standpoint, the next important thing that I just brought up over there was green ops. The sustainability is key around it. For the information that we have or the centers that you're running, how do you look at green ops? How do you look at the data? How do you measure that? So that's the other area that we're focusing on from our, that's why I call it as Cloud Ops Reimagined. These are again a bunch of the customers that we're using, a subset of them, honestly. Security, like I spoke about earlier, it has to start from the code. Even the basic one-line code that you write, is it secure at the application? Testing it constantly as you're releasing it with the automation that you're bringing into it, all right? Threat detection and response. How fast can you now work on a problem? Yes, you're going to have automation, you're going to have AI around it, but you still need a human there to do some of those analysis, right? Digital forensics. This is a big, big play for us being in the content domain, right? How do you look at that information? How do you see the data points? And I'll give you some use cases as we go through in towards the last part of my slide, and obviously around security operations. Fundamentally, how can you protect, detect, and respond to the threats that you're getting in? So moving on, and this was the thing I was talking about, right? This is the core for us, information management. So how do you actually take this information, this knowledge, reimagine it, and use it? Document management sounds a very simple English word, but let's put a spin around this. If you think about it, you're running a utilities organization, and you need to do a shutdown or a maintenance on that organization, right? So wouldn't it be cool that if you could actually take the engineering drawing data, the machine data around it, and use it for doing the shutdown and for maintenance purposes? So you actually have data available to you ready. So you know how the plant was designed, built, or how was that machine actually built? Take the data around that from the engineering folks and give it to the operations and maintenance folks around it, right? So that's one of the aspects or use cases that we actually developed with our AI technology here. Process automation, fundamental business process automation is going to become key as we start getting into this domain of AI, right? Business intelligence, and then information archiving, another key thing. As you're modernizing your applications, your data sets, how do you actually start archiving the data and just use it as required? You don't need to bring all of the data back. Use it just in time. So that's another area of focus for us and a solution that we offer. Just a few use cases that I put just as food for thought, right? I know as GCCs, you're servicing some of these centers, or sorry, one of these verticals, right? Retail CPG, it's a big, big play for us. Manufacturing, as I was telling you all, we work extensively with SAP and these folks. SAP actually OEMs our technology. So if you think about it, how am I going to operationalize IoT data that's coming in and feed that into the ERP system, right? One of the gentlemen in the panel earlier was telling, license management, right? How do I actually automate the functions around that? And that could be across anything. Some of the use cases. Like I said, this is food for thought. I'll leave it out here because I think I'm almost out of time. I'm happy to have a more detailed conversation with you all. Some of the set of customers that I wanted to highlight over here. And the other thing for us as an organization is partnership is key. So these are, if you see the names, these are our strategic partners who are actually experts on our technology, who are consulting, deploying, and also using it for their own functions, right? And I thought I'd put this up. The reason is, I'm not going to boldly say that we are number one in all of the analyst space, but we are number one or number two when you do any sort of analyst recognition data points that you're looking at. So that I just bring that up for your information here. All right, I think with that, I'm out of time. Thank you very much, and really appreciate your patience and for hearing me out. I'll be outside at lunch, so happy to answer any questions that you have over there. Thank you very much. Have a great day.